Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you all for being here. I'm glad to be doing another video for you guys. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what's been going on in the astrology world. We're going to talk about, the upcoming transits. I will be showing the chart in this video, so you guys can actually get like a visual of what I'm talking about. And we could just kind of reflect on what's been going on this past year, what's been changing, because we have all this retrograde energy like over this past over the summer mainly. So I'm just going to be going over there, giving you guys like an astrology update. Like I said, we're going to be talking about stuff that's, going on right now currently, and the upcoming transits that we will be, going towards as we close out basically the year, because we're already in August of 2023. So we're already going towards the end of this year already. It's crazy, it's gone way too fast. But yeah, so this is what we're going to be doing. If you're new here, I'm Cody. I'm an astrologer. I talk about astrology stuff here on the YouTube channel. Yeah, so what else? Okay, so let's just get into it, I guess, you know what I mean? So, this is going to be episode 3 of my, my talk show that I just released not too long ago. It was actually back in March when I made the first episode. That was about Saturn and Pisces, and I talked about, how that's going to affect the collective in 2.5 to 3 years. How much, what's gonna, change for all of us, because it's Saturn in a mutable sign. It's not Saturn in a fixed sign like Saturn was a couple years ago. Well, actually last year, and the past 3 years, I should say, when it was in Aquarius. And that was very, interesting. Just an interesting time that the world has actually gone through, and it still kind of blows my mind that we are still kind of coming out of this so far, so-called pandemic and stuff that has been out there. And I don't know, and I did talk about a lot, I get deeper in that in that episode, and how we're transforming into something new. We're changing, what will change for us, a bunch of stuff. It's really interesting of what's going on, actually. So, and then I made episode 2, I think it was a couple months ago. That was I talked about Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, how that's going to affect the collective, how it affects you personally, and stuff like that. I talk a lot about that, because I talk about Pluto and Aquarius in that one, because I really wanted to talk about that, how that affected us. That was a whole thing that kind of glimpsed us, pushed us in beyond, our perception of what's been kind of governing our lives, because Pluto's been traveling through Capricorn. But as it moves into Aquarius and stuff like that, it's going to be it's going to be mind blowing. A lot of things are going to be changing in the next 20 years. So I talk about that in episode 2. So this is I won't say any much more on that, but this is going to be episode 3, like I said. I didn't really know what to name this, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, so I'm just gonna talk about it. One thing I really want to start talking about is this Venus retrograde in Leo that's been going on over this summer, and how that's been kind of changing. We're coming towards the end of that. I did wanted to make an episode about this, but I'm just gonna talk about it in this episode. Let me just see, what's been this Venus retrograde's been interesting, honestly. It's Venus has been in the fixed fire sign of Leo, where this is the sign where Venus likes to be seen. It's the sign of Leo. It's the spotlight. It values, because it's Venus. That's what Venus values stuff. That's a key word for her. And when it's in Leo, it's it wants that attention. It values that attention. It values love. It's, the heart center of that's the energy of Leo. It's the heart. It's the inner child. And, Venus has been going, kind of backtracking, so to say. Not, retrogrades aren't bad. A lot of people don't really understand the retrograde term, but it really just means backtracking, going back over old stuff that you've been dealing with, correcting your mistakes, doing things more than once, And then once the planet goes direct and does, into that territory again, we understand, what we needed to change, what we needed to shift our minds into. And when we're talking about Venus, this is about love. It's about how we relate. Let's see what else. It could be about money, finances. What has been changing in those topics like that? Of what's pleasure? That's another keyword. Pleasures, attractiveness. What are you attracted to? And it's in the sign of Leo, like I said. This is you want to be seen. You want to be seen doing in that. And if you know what area, which house Leo rules for your chart, this is gonna be you should understand that there's been a shift happening in that area of life for you. So really look at your chart. And that's another thing I want to mention. I've been talking to some people about astrology, but I know a lot of people don't really understand it because they just kind of only know their sun sign. But I've been mentioning to other people, or at least some people at least, that it's really, you really need to know your rising sign. Whatever was rising, the time of your birth, on the eastern horizon, that sign will be better understood if you're trying to predict future events, or just to see what's going on in your life, or looking out for the challenging aspects. Something's coming. Looking out for harmonious, good times, positive times. You'll know that stuff if you know that rising sign. I hope that made sense, but I didn't. But yeah, the rising sign is the most important thing. So let me just pull the chart up real quick. Okay, so we're just looking at this chart right now. Okay, so the ascendant, that's the rising sign, another word for it. Let's just kind of read this as a little bird chart real quick. So it's the ascendant's in Scorpio right now. So Scorpio would represent the first house. So if somebody was born right now at this time, they would have a Scorpio ascendant, even though the sun is up here in the sign of Leo, and they would be they would just know themselves as a Leo, but they wouldn't understand that they have a Scorpio filtered perspective on how they how they present their personality. It's kind of interesting. So the sun being in Leo, like I said, this is this would be someone who would be very prideful, be very want to be seen and it's the spotlight. The sun is in domicile in Leo, it rules the sign of Leo, so it's it's home. And the sun is about shining a light. It's about giving off light. It's the giver of life, basically. And so if you kind of mix these two energies together, it would be sign wise Leo and Scorpio square each other. So that could create some challenge of some type, But this is just this would be representing the chart though. So they would present themselves as a Leo, but to other people, I guess I should have said that, how they it's about impressions, first impressions. When you meet other people and you first impress someone or whatever, they're seeing your first house, they're seeing your rising sign, your ascendant. So if somebody came up to this person and they never met them before, they would view them as a Scorpio. So the Scorpio rising, which would be very, very mysterious, secretive. What else could I say? Maybe very sting-like. They might come off as someone that just that has a sting to them. Ooh, they're very sharp, in the way they look, the way they they present themselves to the other person. But there's some type of mysterious kind of depth, deep darkness kind of personality that they would present to themselves. I hope that makes sense. Even though they would be a sun in Leo would be very out there and blah blah blah, but when they meet other people, they would kind of have this dark side to them. I really hope that makes sense, because I want to make that clear, and what especially if you're reading a birth chart, basically. So let's go back to this Venus retrograde in Leo. So like I said, Venus, basically where the sun is right now, at 27, 28 degrees, that's where Venus stationed retrograde and stopped in the sky from our perspective from Earth. And then now she's gone all the way back to 16, the current transit right now, towards the end of August of where we're at right now. And we're wrapping things up. We're wrapping all this stuff out. Like when Venus conjunct the sun, like when Venus connected, like it's like, imagine my hands as the planets, and then it's like when they come together, that's kind of like when they connect like that, it's called a cazimi. A Venus, when that's a Venus cazimi, it's a connection to the sun. It's like ending an old cycle and then being purified, being to be like to start a new cycle. That's kind of like what that cazimi thing is. So it's kind of interesting. In ancient times, in ancient astrology, like many years ago, like people, when a planet came like close to the sun like that, they would say that like that planet is dying. It's a dying planet because it's going into the heart of the sun. It's getting burnt out by the sun's rays. And then once it's like gone past it, it's like a birthing process has happened. It's like a rebirth. Now it's like a new cycle. So astrology has so many cool, like really interesting meanings to that, and I just love it. That's why I do this. And this is why I want to teach you guys. I want to bring this out to the public. I want to give you guys that perspective of like, not everything is like, you can't blame the world for your problems or something. Like, there's always a meaning behind. I'm just saying that because, I mean, there really is a meaning behind everything, but like, that's just like my Sagittarius sun sign. And I have a bunch of Sagittarius. I'm a Sag rising. So I'm like, I need to like teach. I need to, give people that new perspective of what's beyond out there. Like what's beyond the horizon. That's a Sagittarius kind of energy. But I know I'm kind of just going off, and I know we're like trying to talk about this Venus retrograde, but yeah. But just from, I think it was like June, well, she entered Leo in like June 3rd, June 4th, around there, the beginning of June. And then like she went into shadow around like June 19th. That's when like pre-retrograde shadow, that's like the territory that she's coming back to, where she's almost, I think it was like 12 degrees of Leo where she entered shadow. So she's at 16, guys. She doesn't have that much longer to go. So 12 degrees of Leo is where she entered shadow, and then went all the way to basically where the sun's at right now, 27, 28 degrees of Leo, station retrograde, now has gone backwards, and is coming back to finish its retrograde basically. But it's stationed retrograde, I think like the day that the sun entered Leo, I think it was like the 23rd of July. So that's like as soon as the sun went into Leo, it was like hours or a few minutes or whatever, she's stationed retrograde in Leo. And so yeah, what has changed in topics around love, relationships, relating to other people, what's attracted to you, what do you desire? That's like another Venus. Like what do you desire now? If you didn't want, like if you've been kind of dealing with a relationship and like it's been kind of not working out, so to say, or if you're working at a job or something and you're really not feeling it anymore and you're like, I need to change or something, this is kind of like what this retrograde, Venus retrograde, has been all about. It's been about maybe I don't relate, or maybe I don't desire this relationship, or maybe I don't feel right about this job or desire this job anymore, so I need to change something about either the job, the relationship, or something that I want to chase after. Maybe there's something else that you want, not really chase after, that's like more of a Mars thing, but like it's what has changed for like the way you express your love. I guess that's really as vague as you can get to that. Because when Venus goes direct and passes over this territory once again, we're gonna have a new mindset of like, not really a mindset, but just a new perspective of what we want. That's really what it is. Like, if you didn't want something, this Venus retrograde is like, okay, let's change it now let's go forward and do something that we do want. Like, that's kind of like what this is. What else could I say? So that's kind of like what's been going on. And Venus stations direct, I should mention, I think on like the 3rd or 4th of September. Like I said, she's at 16 degrees. She's going to station at 12 degrees. She's almost done with this retrograde. So as September, kicks in, as we get to September, she'll start to, move forward again. And then all the things Venusian, like I mentioned, love, relationships, pleasures, attraction, desires, harmony, finances, stuff like that. They'll start to you'll be like, okay, now I know what I think I do want. So that's that. Let's see. Mercury, on the other hand, is about to station retrograde. So we're about to get more retrograde. Like right now, he's about to station retrograde. Venus is in retrograde. That's 2 planets. We got Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde. You can count Chiron if you want. Chiron retrograde. And then Jupiter and Uranus are about to station retrograde. So that's like everything in the sky right now besides Mars will be in retrograde, like over this next couple weeks, couple months. So this is not the time to push forward any plans that we want to do. Believe me, I have so many things that I want to just jump forward, but it's like right now I can't. I have to kind of understand what I'm trying to do, just as much as everybody else is in the world. There's a lot of it's all about reviewing retrogrades. Like retrograde periods are about reviewing, backtracking, correcting mistakes. Yes, there's delays. That's like a huge retrograde keyword, delay, especially Mercury retrograde. There's so many delays when Mercury goes into retrograde. There's so many miscommunications when he's in retrograde. There's glitches with technology, problems like in traffic, because you might run into a lot of a huge chunk of traffic when you're traveling, and that's kind of another thing that you can deal with. Delays in traffic, delays in communications, delays in contracts, anything. So that's another thing a lot of people kind of worry about or get worried about, because Mercury retrogrades happen all the time, 3 or 4 times a year. It's very common, but it's really just about changing your mind, because Mercury is the planet of our mind, our thoughts, the way we process stuff, how we talk, how we transport information, stuff like that. It's all about the mind, mental stuff. And Mercury's in the sign of Virgo, which I probably should have mentioned, but I'm doing it anyway. So he's in the sign of Virgo, and he rules Virgo. He's in domicile. He rules the sign of Virgo, but he's also exalted in the sign of Virgo, which is just it lifts Mercury up. When a planet's in its exalted sign, it just means it's somewhere where it's how do I explain it? It's a planet that's very uplifted of where they're at in their surroundings. They're very comfortable. They love it to be in their exalted sign. Any planet loves to be in their exalted sign. But it's a place where they're really lifted, and they can just really enjoy themselves. It's the highest of highs. That's another kind of reason, a way of explaining it. Because if a planet in their detriment, the opposite sign of what they're exalted in, or their opposite home sign, I should say, they're in what they're called detriment or exile or fall. That's a planet at rock bottom and just kind of not really comfortable with the surroundings, and it has to be creative of adapting to where it's at. It's kind of like someone being in a foreign land, not knowing the language, not knowing the anything about it. And you kind of just have to adapt to where you're at, learn the stuff that you don't know, be creative. But when a planet's exalted, it's very uplifting. So this is kind of just doubling up Mercury's power, honestly, because it's at home, it rules Virgo, it's exalted in Virgo. It's just Mercury's good. So overall, this Mercury retrograde won't be probably that bad because it's Mercury's in dignity. It has dignity of doing what Mercury likes to do. In the sign of Virgo, being precise, focusing on the details. What else? It's very just kind of, it likes to organize, get things. It's kind of like organizing numbers. It's really good with numbers, organizations, stuff like that. It's really good with like numbers. Like if you have a Mercury in Virgo, you're really good with like numbers. You're really good at communicating. You're very precise in what you're like, talking about, stuff like that. So, but yeah, Mercury's gonna station retrograde on the 23rd, which is the 23rd of August. As soon as the sun gets into Virgo, like I think it's like within hours, Mercury stations retrograde. It's kind of like what the sun did when the sun entered Leo and then Venus went retrograde. Now the sun, as the sun goes into Virgo, Mercury's gonna station retrograde. So it's kind of a weird little pattern that's kind of going on here. So yeah, there's gonna be delays, miscommunications, glitches with technology, problems with traffic. I'm like traveling. Just be cautious. It's not always a bad time though. Even a lot of people still travel during Mercury retrogrades, which isn't the big deal. Like they might run into problems here and there, but that's normal. But yeah, so Mercury retrogrades are really all about kind of changing your mind, changing your perspective as well. It's the same thing. It's just going back, redoing something, kind of backtracking. In the sign of Virgo, this is kind of like just backtracking your numbers, backtracking your like how to organize your life better or stuff like that. So once Mercury goes direct, and I think it's like September 15th. I think that's the day. After September 15th onward, you'll be like, okay, now we kind of know what's going on in this area of life. And we can move forward now from like what we had to change our mind on. What was delayed for us, I should say. So yeah. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Okay, let's just kind of go through the days. Okay, so yeah, the sun's in Virgo now. You can see that. You can see this little S right here under Mercury. That means Mercury's stationing to go retrograde. So he's like stopped in the sky, so to say. And then you go one more day and it shows retrograde for Mercury. So yeah, look at that. We have so many planets in retrograde right now, guys. And then these two, Uranus is about to station retrograde. I think like, it's like a couple days after this, right? Yeah, see the little S? There's Uranus. He's stopped. Uranus is now retrograde. Mars just entered Libra. That's another thing. I am working on horoscopes right now. It should be out probably around the time I post this, of Mars and Libra and how that'll affect all 12 signs on my Patreon. So if you want to support my Patreon, please. I really want to help you guys understand like the meaning of this, because that's where I do my work, is like I do horoscopes and talk about all 12 signs. So please, if you want to support me, like I will give you the best information to help you guys navigate any transits. Not only doing these videos on YouTube, but I want to expand and just give you written horoscopes. It's just written horoscopes so far. I'm still working on a lot of other stuff. So, but yeah, Mars and Libra. This is going to be probably a challenging time. Like I was saying about the planets being in exaltation and detriment, this is Mars in one of its detriment signs. So this is going to feel not very challenging, but this is going to feel off. Mars is the planet of action, energy, conflicts, protection, severing, cutting, sex. It does represent that, fast, just quick, short-term goals. Like it's very heated too. That's another, heat is a Mars keyword. What else could I say? I think that's about it. But yeah, and being in the sign opposite of where Mars rules. Mars is in Libra at this point, and the opposite sign is Aries. That's where Mars rules. So this is where Mars is like home. This is Mars' domicile sign. When Mars is in the opposite sign, which is Libra, it's as far away from home. It's in a foreign place. It's not functioning the way Mars wants to function. This is a Venus-ruled sign, so it's a Venusian house. What's the sign of Libra? Libra is about relationships. Libra is about having peace I should say. Not only relationships or relating, but it's like really keeping the peace, really keeping the scales balanced, not tipping the scales, just keeping things even, keeping things fair, keeping things just. Mars is gonna have like kind of a tough time here, but it might just have us just kind of like giving up in some situations. Mars and Libra people who have Mars and Libra like to like fight for justice. Basically, they want to fight for fairness, but it's kind of like in a calm way, a very diplomatic, expressive, like what it wants. So that's kind of like a Mars and Libra energy. So yeah, let's see. I think that's all I want to say about that. But yeah, Mars enters Libra on the 27th of August. It's going to be in there for about, until like October. October is a crazy month. That's when we get like eclipse season coming. I mean, by this time, we're feeling the eclipse cycles. It's already happening. So as the sun gets closer and closer, because the south node is supposed to be right here, and then we're going to have like a new moon solar eclipse in Libra in October. So that's going to be wild. And then there's like a lunar eclipse in Taurus, I think like a couple weeks after that, and that's finishing this cycle that the lunar nodes have been in, Taurus and Scorpio for the last year and a half. We're finally getting that kind of that final lunation of letting go of like what's been going on in that Taurus area and Scorpio area of your life, because the nodes are in Aries and Libra now. So there's a new story coming along. So yeah, we're coming towards eclipse season, guys. Expect more changes to happen. Not only, we're dealing with all this retrograde energy, the eclipses will bring the change no matter what the cause is. Basically, it's not kind of like a negotiation of what you can or can't do. This is like the universe. When we have eclipses, the universe is like saying, okay, you're going to be pushed in this direction if you like it or not. And you're going to have to live with that. So it's nothing really to fear. There's sometimes we can use that little push to either let go or start something new. So yeah, that's kind of an explanation of how eclipses are, the energy of the eclipses basically. Before I move on, I want to mention the merch. If you're interested in getting the merch, this stuff is really cool and you guys would love it. I'll put it in the link in the description below, because I will be having some mini sales going on. Right now, it's coming towards the end. I'm having a 15% off sale on all merch. Towards the end of August, as we get into September, I'm having a 20% off sale when you buy 2 or more items to get that discount, which is really interesting. I've never seen that before, so check that out. Let's see. I have so many designs I just made. I just created the new logo for the website, Codiverse Astrology. It looks awesome, guys. I made a Virgo design. It looks really cool. I made a new tarot card, the Hermit design. It looks really cool. You can even check this stuff out. This is Uranus and Taurus merch. I got Saturn and Pisces I got on right now. I got plenty of stuff on the merch if you guys want to check that out, and so many new designs coming out soon, so many new sales that I'm promoting over there. So if you're interested in that, please check that out. I know you guys will love it. I'm loving this. I'm loving everything that I've been doing. YouTube, I know I haven't done too many YouTube videos, but I'm trying to get back on this. I'm just busy doing other things. I'm doing my Patreon work. I write horoscopes in there. I do this. I'm doing this. There's a lot of stuff, man. So, but yeah, I just wanted to promote that, get that out there before I, forget, just to put that on. So yeah, getting back to the astrology. So we just talked about Mars entering Libra, Uranus just stationed retrograde at 23 degrees of Taurus, and this is as far as Uranus is going to go in the sign of Taurus. Uranus hasn't been in this area. I don't know exactly the exact date, but it's been, I think Uranus takes about 84 years. So Uranus last time was in this position was like 84 years ago or something, 80 plus years ago. So I think it was in like the 30s, I want to say, last time Uranus was kind of going through Taurus. You could probably quote me on this exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's around 80 years or whatever. But yeah, the planet of Uranus, like what is Uranus? Uranus is a crazy planet, honestly. Like, just so to say, like it's a crazy planet. It's unexpected, it's very shocking, it's very liberating. It's very outside the box. It's kind of like going against the status quo. It's newness. It's like new energy. It's like futuristic energy. It could represent space travel, I've heard. Uranus is just unpredictable, honestly. Like, nobody can really pinpoint what Uranus will, how Uranus will express itself. You just kind of have to like go through it. Like, if you're going through a Uranus transit, because Uranus is unpredictable. We can just say you'll have expect the unexpected. We could say, there's going to be some crazy, shocking, news happening for you if you're dealing with one of these transits. But yeah, I mean, but look at, like, honestly, like this. I talked about this, I think, in the last episode of Jupiter and Taurus, where these two, Jupiter and Uranus, are getting so close to each other. Like, they're not going to make that conjunction until I think next April, and that's going to be a crazy time. Like, I was like looking at the transits for 2024, and I got to like April, and that month, guys, that month is going to be wild. We have the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. We have, we're going to be going through eclipse season. We have like that solar eclipse in Aries going on. We got a Mercury retrograde in Aries going on. Mars is going to conjunct Saturn at that time in Pisces. What else? And there's like this like T-square, full moon T-square that's happening. And it's like in a T-square with Pluto in Aquarius. That's like already like crazy. I'm like already blown away of what's going to happen like next April. But yeah, that's when they're going to make that conjunction, and that's going to create like fireworks, bro. Like, that's going to expand our it's going to expand us into a whole new like perspective of like what we can accomplish. Like, our perspectives on life are going to like be far beyond anything that we can imagine. I mean, you can even say, like, in the news lately, they've been talking about UFOs, kind of like, like, and other like bio beings, so to say, that the military has like kind of released and stuff. And I've been thinking about that, and I'm like, maybe around that time, or maybe like sometime after April of 2024, we'll get more like research on what's out there, so to say, I guess you could say. Or just like, I don't know, just like kind of expand our like perceptions of like, wow, I never knew that was possible.